The day was slightly overcast. Not perfect for flying, but safe enough, says Davin Bennett. Davin is a pilot. Not a commercial one, nor military, but a missionary pilot. The mission? To provide emergency air evacuations to Filipinos cut off by geography. This isolation, made even worse by COVID-19.
We tell them, when you have any illness, anything that needs to be urgently transported, just call us. So they get our number and they will call.
Davin is a full-time volunteer with the Philippine Adventist Medical Aviation Services, a faith-based charity providing emergency plane evacuation services in the Philippines.
Yes. Oh, that's where it is. Okay. I talked with the director and I said to him, it was 2013, October, we're in a hangar, just like this one. And I said, do you need more missionary pilots? He said, yeah, go get your license, come back and volunteer with us. And it took me 7 years. That was 7 years later. Here I am volunteering with them.
All right, let's saddle up, boys.
It took a long time,
Okay.
but Davin believes he got his license at the right time. In 2020, just before the COVID-19 pandemic struck, which left those in far-flung communities even more isolated due to travel restrictions.
All right, ready to go?
The missions are unpredictable, so Davin is on standby 24/7. Today, there's no emergency, but he's going to visit a community to see what they need. Davin was born and raised in Jamaica by a single mother. She was absent for most of his growing up years, working as a domestic helper. Davin lived in the ghetto under the care of neighbors.
Every single day, every flight, I am reminded of where I am coming from, because the people I help are individuals who don't have the finances to help themselves otherwise.
Many of Davin's passengers are underprivileged, but they get to fly for free thanks to donations that cover operational costs, which comes up to around $300 for every hour flown. As a volunteer, however, Davin doesn't get paid. Today we're headed to Palanan, Isabela, a remote coastal town of about 17,000 people. Reachable directly only by boat, plane, or a few days hike. Thanks to the Sierra Madre, the longest mountain range in the Philippines, standing in its way.
Davin, it's the Sierra Madre that's cutting off this town.
Yes. That's what makes them off-grid.
And if they don't fly,
Before COVID, they could take a boat down the coastline and then another public van or bus along this long road. Some people tell me it can be a 2-day trip.
2 days.
2 days, yeah. That's what I've heard.
It's an emergency.
In an emergency situation, you're pushing it. Your life hangs in the balance if you don't take an airplane from this area.
Because of the pandemic, boat services to many coastal towns and islands were suspended, leaving many residents with flying as the only way out. Rosalie Alvarez, a Palanan resident, can testify to how crucial Davin's services are. At the height of the pandemic, with half the country in total lockdown, she suffered a stroke.
Sabi ng mister ko, nakagalaw ako pero sabi niya yung mukha ko raw ay nag-iba na. Nakakapagsalita ako pero iba na raw yung pananalita ko. Tapos ay kinabukasan, sabi ni Dr. Batang, kailangan na dalhin ako sa labas.
We visited the town's one and only hospital to see why many patients have to be airlifted to the mainland. It was difficult to imagine Rosalie surviving the stroke if she had stayed here.
So this is the only hospital here in Palanan, and as you can see, it's very basic. It only has 2 wards, which can only take 10 patients at a time, and it only employs 5 nurses and 3 doctors.
The town's mayor, Elizabeth Ochoa, says they simply cannot handle cases beyond the most common illnesses.
Wala kaming x-ray, walang ultrasound, mga ganun po.
So kung meron pong magka-COVID dito, hindi kaya?
As in, hindi kakayanin po.
Ano po yung pinaka-common cases na dinadala via flight?
Yung mga karamihan din po is yung mga manganganak. Manganganak, halimbawa po, due date na nila is hindi pa lumalabas yung bata, automatic po pinapa-airlift.
As we were about to leave, we got word that a man with tuberculosis needed treatment. But all passengers now have to produce a negative COVID-19 test result, a necessary paperwork that the man did not have. On our way back, we flew over other coastal towns, which Davin says are even worse off.
But Maconapcon doesn't even have a hospital. Divilaca, no hospital either.
It's not just med-evac, right? You do other things, right?
Yeah, we do supplies. Recently, we transported the engine for a boat for a minister that's going to help some more people further away from the airport by, transporting themselves up and down the river.
How Davin is now able to do these missions was a journey in itself. Davin's path to mission piloting next. When Davin was 25, his church gave him the opportunity to attend a missionary school in the United States. There, he met Irene, a Filipino.
Well, it was hate at first sight.
How did you go from hate to falling in love?
We would get partnered a lot. And we have no choice but to just talk. That missionary school changed a lot of my perspective. Instead of going for a big job that will make my life comfortable, I saw the need of being able to touch people and help people.
Which is exactly how you wanted to live your life.
That's exactly.
They dreamt of living a life of service together and moved to the Philippines. Irene taught piano to support their living expenses. When Davin became a pilot, they settled in Quirino, a province close to remote towns where Davin's services are most needed. Here, the weather changes quickly. When we planned to visit, the weather was predicted to be sunny. But on arrival, it rained every day.
The rain is so heavy, it's not funny. You would not want to be in this kind of soup, we call it the soup, because it's a lot of water.
Yeah.
And that's what's leading to a lot of zero visibility.
In Quirino, when it rains, it pours. The same goes for Davin's work.
Is it improving since morning?
For 3 days, he had no calls. Then, requests started pouring in one after the other. Davin suddenly had 5 passengers to transport to 2 different locations, all on the same day before the airports close. He would need to plan the itinerary carefully. Time is tight, and his hectic day would start tomorrow.
So it's almost 5 in the morning right now, and it's still dark, but we're gonna start our day early. We're gonna pick up a lady and her baby. We're gonna take them to Davin, and Davin is gonna fly them back to their hometown, weather permitting. Bibilin! Good morning! Hello po! Morning! Ay, baby! Hello, baby!
Sige, ako na to.
Thank you, sir. Mother!
Babylin Malacasta is going home for the first time in more than a year. Home is Palanan, the coastal town we visited earlier.
Bakit mo kinailangan pumunta ng Santiago?
Nagpa-check up po ako kasi may sakit ako, hydrocephalus.
Ikaw?
Opo.
Hydrocephalus?
Opo. Pag-overflow po yung tubig sa utak ko.
Si baby, okay naman?
Kuwan po siya, may sakit din po siya mula pinanganak po siya. Nang infection daw po sa dugo.
Ha?
Infection sa dugo.
Babylin had spent all her money on treatment. She almost couldn't get a seat on Davin's plane.
It costs something to help these people, and as a ministry running off donations, we don't always have money in excess. But from an individual standpoint, I will step in. If I don't feel urged to talk to individual donors who have helped out in the past, I will just put a post out there.
But what if you're not able to put together the money?
Then I won't be able to help her.
Fortunately for Babylin, a social worker had raised funds for her, enough to cover the costs of her flight.
Hindi po sana ako pabalikin sa Palanan kasi inoobserbahan niya ako. Sabi ko, Dok, kailangan akong umuwi kasi may seminar po ako. Ayoko pong mawala yung disable ko. Yun na lang ang kinukuha ng mga anak ko sa pang-allowance namin.
The other passengers are in another city called Tuguegarao. They need to get home to Batanes, the country's northernmost island province. And in order to maximize time and fuel, Babylin would have to follow David on a detour.
All right, so we are ready to leave now. We're just loading Babylin's stuff. Oops.
Just flip it. Yeah.
Here, okay. And it's just gonna be me and Davin and Babylin because it's gonna be multiple locations, right? And Davin needs the weight for the extra fuel.
The plan was for Babylin and I to alight at Tuguegarao. The Tuguegarao passengers would then be transported to Batanes Island. Davin would come back, and we'd send Babylin to Palanan. It's a long way home, but also the only way.
En route, I know we'll be all right, but it's early morning and it rained last night, so you have that fog to deal with. You have to wait until the fog is lifted.
It's lifted now?
Yeah, it's fine.
Four passengers were already waiting for Davin at the airport when we got there.
Napunta po kami dito kasi yung mother ko nga po nagkasakit. Ang advice po, kailangan daw siya i-dialysis. Wala pong dialysis sa Batanes po, sa hospital doon. Kaya dinala dito sa Tuguegarao po. Yung mga doktor po sa Batanes po, yun po yung nakipag-coordinate sa PAMAS.
Walang commercial flight?
Wala. Ay, pero 2 beses lang po sa isang buwan.
Batanes is an island in the middle of the sea. Davin says weather conditions are prone to drastic changes. That's why he was rushing to get his passengers on board. Within an hour of our arrival, they were on their way.
See you later, sir.
Okay.
Davin said it would take him a few hours to come back for me and Babylin. But those few hours went longer.
All right, we have a bit of a situation here. Davin telling me that the weather isn't so good where he is right now. So he's not able to fly at this moment. We are expecting some delays, but there's also a possibility that Davin will be stranded there and he won't be able to come back to pick us up. So we'll see what happens.
Davin!
Davin made it back.
Those days when you have to know what you're doing.
But now there was another problem. Babylin's journey home might be delayed.
So you'll still push through with your Palanan flight?
No, I'm not sure. Yeah, I gotta make some phone calls first. Hey, Kapamir, Davin here. I'm here in Tuguegarao with a mission pending for Palanan. You went in there recently?
Yeah, I was Palanan and then I was in Malco. We were stranded in Malco for almost 1 hour.
Oh, okay.
Bad news for Babylin.
With the winds picking up this strong on the ground, because we have to cross the Sierra Madre mountain, that's when you make the decision of it's not worth it.
It was also getting late. Airports were about to close. So Davin decided that the best recourse was to just return to base.
Okay ka lang, bibiliin.
Okay lang po.
Sorry
Okay lang po.
Ganyan ang buhay niyo na mga taga-Palanan, ano?
Opo, sir. Di masabi kung kailan maka-uwi kung ganitong panahon, sir. Kung sinabi ng na bad weather, talagang hintayin mo kung gumanda para maka-uwi.
It was a disappointing ending to the day. But it doesn't mean Davin was abandoning the mission. A few days later, Davin managed to get Babylin back to Palanan.
Mission accomplished, guys.
Hoping to inspire others, Davin started a YouTube channel, Flying by Faith.
Hey guys, and welcome back to my
which has 1,500 subscribers.
beautiful islands of the Philippines. I have many pilots now following my YouTube channel and Facebook telling me, you inspire me every day. I'm stuck at home and I have 15,000 hours, but you have done more good in your 500 hours than I have done in 15 hours. That's the kind of impact I want to make. That's why
In just 1 year, Davin's clocked 365 hours and carried some 200 passengers, ranging from cancer patients to victims of sexual assault.
Hello po sa lahat po ng donor ko po na para po makauwi ng Batanes. Thank you po.
And when it comes to timing, he believes now is the best time for him to be devoted to volunteering.
What I'm doing now is something the average person would do after years of working and earning and raise your family, and now you're retired. Let me go now and do missionary work. But me, I'm like, no, I'm young. Now is the time I want to do it.
For Simon Asia,
1, 4, 5, 6, 7, sir. Thank you.
I'm Barnaby Lowe.
Share your thoughts and contribute story ideas to our show by contacting us on social media.